Welcome to the first episode of Three Guys Who Know Nothing, Discuss Everything, with me, Ben Aaron Hollis, Rob Brown.
Yeah, that's me.
Rob. And with Sean Adams, who is missing in action today, but hopefully he will be with us next time. So for the first ever episode of Three Guys Who Know Nothing, Discuss Everything, it's just two of us. So this
two guys
is
who know nothing.
two guys who know even less than three guys. So this is it started really, really well.
Cool, so let's go into Uncharted 4 then. So, I haven't played it, don't know anything about it.
So Uncharted 4, so Rob did his research and didn't even look at it.
I went on
holiday and then moved house. I only have a hand in my research and I gave it a little play. I didn't have a go with the multiplayer because I didn't have the opportunity to. It wouldn't let me. Simple as that. I didn't have that kind of benefit. But I did play the single player. The thing that I found with the first three is they're good games. You know, the graphics are good, but they're very closed world, and sometimes I feel like that works. And there are certain situations, as you said, Rob, where when we were discussing this before we started about the game, where it's closed world, it means that there's hopefully not a stop in the combat. And so this one, I think people wanted it to be a bit more open world, and it did bring that. Not too much, but it did bring that. I mean, it starts Nathan Drake, Elena, they've got married, you know, they're retired, and suddenly Drake's long lost brother turns up, Sam turns up, and he needs Drake's help to find some long lost pirate booty, or a Pablo Escobar type guy is going to kill him. Which I thought was a bit of a strange preface for the beginning of a game anyway, but there we go. It seemed a bit clinging on to straws, but anyway, the game starts quite slowly in my opinion. It's got a speedboat chase that's nowhere near the level of dangling from a train. So you know, in the second one, there's you're dangling from that train that crashes, and I mean it's a cool thing, it's nice, but it's a bit predictable, but it's fun. It doesn't start anywhere near that kind of excitement, or even the bar brawl in the third one. It's nowhere near that. And like most games, it starts with an in-game tutorial. It shows you how to use, you know, the new features or the improved gameplay additions. But there's 9 chapters. Not like 9 chapters of telling you, 9 chapters of telling you how to play the game. Like depending on who you are, if this is the first Uncharted game that you've played, you could be there for a couple of hours just learning. Like easily, you could be there for like 5-6 hours.
The thing is, though, if you haven't played it before, then you need that in there.
You do, but do you need that much? Like the first 7 hours, if you bought most Call of Duties are done in 7 hours. The game's finished in 7 hours.
Everyone's played Call of Duty though.
But the entire campaign is finished in 7 hours. You know, they go and get it at midnight. They blast through it before they have to go to work in the morning. And then when they get back from work, they just play the online. You know, this one, 7 hours into it, you've had about 10 Red Bulls. It's 7 a.m. You don't even know how to play the game yet. Still 9 chapters before you feel like the game has actually started, and you actually arrive in Madagascar. You know, where the game actually starts. It's still got all your regular stuff. You're exploring ruins, fighting, shooting, climbing, swinging, little puzzles, and the brother plays the role of the guy who's just kind of there to give you a boost and to fight enemies if you need a bit of extra help, and you know, boost you up to the ledges and whatnot.
I think what's quite good with it is that he does have quite a few witty comments throughout the game, so little bits of kind of mini Easter eggs as well, I guess, referencing the previous games. And also the little witty comments give you a little bit of a laugh halfway through, and keeps the excitement up, because there can be a lot of areas of the game that do get repetitive and do kind of be the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you feel like it's just starting to drag, especially in Act 3. It can take a long time to get through that jungle scene, which I thought did drag on quite a bit and got pretty boring, to be fair.
You saw me playing that bit, didn't you? Yeah, it did get a bit boring. And I mean, the jokes, they're okay, but you know, some of them are just a bit. I like jokes, and I like characters to have a bit of banter. but some of it is just a bit desperate, and don't know, it makes me wonder who their writers are sometimes. There's some new things in there, like a rope. You can use to swing over gaps that you've got actually on your person, rather than using like vines that have, you know, plants and stuff.
Strategically placed there.
Yeah.
Very conveniently placed.
Exactly. There's the baddies, you know, the enemies take a lot less bullets, which was quite good, because in some of the games sometimes it can feel a little bit like you've kind of given them lead poisoning to kill them rather than actually just shot them. But the biggest thing for me is a new stealth mode. There's a lot more sections of the game where you aren't met by a million people shooting at you. You know, you don't come up to a wall and you've got to hide behind it and take out about 20 people while they're all shooting at you with machine guns. And there's another aspect to it. There's another level to the taking out of enemies, which was very fun.
That's always been my preferred way of gaming, to be fair. I mean, I've just played Wolfenstein, the new one of that, and it's very similar to things like Just Cause, Wolfenstein. You've got different routes that you can take, so you don't have to go, though it's quite a linear game, you don't have to go the same route. There's different routes that you can take depending on your type of gameplay. So if you're like me and you prefer to go the sneaky route, you know, take someone out with a knife, you can do that. But if you want to go in guns blazing, you've still got the opportunity to do that as well. So it opens itself up a lot more to different styles of gameplay, which I think work really well.
Yeah, it is really good. It is really good. And that stealth, I mean, the one thing though that they didn't include was the ability to distract enemies, and that was so you can't whistle, you can't throw a stone to make them wander over towards you. You literally just have to sit, and there's long grass. You have the ability to hide in long grass, but you just have to sit there and wait, which is made even more frustrating by the fact that Naughty Dog, who make Uncharted, they also make The Last of Us, in which you can distract enemies. So they clearly just forgot or couldn't be bothered to have the ability to do this, because if anyone played this and simply thought the game didn't need it, then quite frankly they're morons, because it would have really added to the stealth mode if you could throw something, distract someone over towards you. You know, if there's two people and they're close together, distract one of them over towards you, you take that one out, you take the other one out. Any game, Assassin's Creed, like I said, The Last of Us, where you've got the stealth mode, you can, you know, it's just part and parcel of that stealth mode to be able to distract them.
From what it seems like, is it's just something that they've kind of popped in at the end and gone, oh, we'll just stick that in, and not really spent enough time developing the stealth mode on this particular game. Maybe they've gone down, they prefer you to go in gun toe, or it's more about the exploration than it is the actual combat. I mean, when you compare it to games like Just Cause, where it's there's a lot of stealth in that, but you've got the ability to distract people and bits and pieces, so it changes around a little bit. But I think it worked quite well. It just really depends on how you want to play it.
Yeah, it does give you the option, because you don't have to use it. You don't have to. It encourages you to, but if you want to go in all guns blazing, you have the ability to do so. Another thing that really annoyed me is actually the ledges. The ledges that go nowhere. You see a ledge, and it, you know, normally the ledges are there on purpose. They're there for a reason, so they glimmer, or they stand out. They look different, you know, and they're a way to go forwards. And you put in the effort to get there because you're stuck or you're out of ideas, and you don't want to, or you don't understand the hint they give you, you know. And then the ledge just goes nowhere. You put in so much effort to get there, and it just doesn't take you anywhere. And it's just so frustrating. But the main complaint about the series, as I touched on before, is the lack of open map. You know, I think that's one thing that some people really love it, some people really don't. And it's what puts a lot of people off it, and they'd rather play Grand Theft Auto or something like that, you know. But this one is opened up a bit, and I think it's helped it, but it's not the kind of game, as we said, it's not the kind of game that needs it, because if you've got an open map and there are puzzles, and if you're stuck on a puzzle, you're going forwards, going backwards, you don't want to be going all the way around this open map for hours on end, you know. You just get lost and confused like the early Resident Evil games, you know. You're just milling about with no idea what to do, and it can take up hours. So it was really good that they did keep the map closed, but they just gave you, in certain areas, they just gave you a little bit more free roaming, so that you could at least have the option to get a little bit lost. I won't give the ending away, but it feels a little rushed. I'll be honest, it drags on very, very long, the third act, as you said. Yeah, you saw me play it. You said earlier on, yeah, it does drag on. And some characters just kind of leave, and again, I won't say who, but they just kind of leave without an explanation, and it doesn't make much sense. And the only thing I can think is that Naughty Dog they've said this the last one, and I can only hope that it is, because it kind of needs to be. It's a brilliant series, but they need to bring it to an end after 4 before it becomes Call of Duty and they're just popping out shit for no reason, just for money. I can only hope it's for spin-offs, though. Some of these characters might have their own video games. I mean, that'd be an avenue that I wouldn't mind. I'd be happy with that. There's some very good characters in the games. Lastly, the brother is not a great character. Doesn't really add much, in my opinion. He doesn't really add much. He's not like Sully, It's not like someone that you grow to love, and you really, when he's in trouble, you really feel for him. He's just kind of a character, and it's just a general reason, in my opinion, to make another game. It's just a general reason to get a story going, and he's got bits of banter which aren't great, and again, I won't say what happens, but they all die. Donald Trump. When the question was asked, what do we talk about? All three of us said Donald Trump. He needs talking about. Someone needs to discuss him properly, Someone needs to sit America down and say, what are you doing? It was funny at the beginning. We have our own Donald Trump. He's called Boris Johnson. He's very funny. He's amusing. He does silly things. Like, he says words like whiff waff, and he goes on zip lines that don't work properly, and he's amusing. And we just let Boris have his own little thing, but we would never let him be Prime Minister. That would just destroy the country. You are letting Donald Trump have a run at becoming Prime Minister, America, and that might be a little bit of a mistake, if I'm honest. What do we talk about first? What qualifies him to be president?
Well, he's got the money, so it's a bit of a weird one, because he's pulling on the strings of, there are a lot of people in America, and there are a lot of uneducated
white
people
extremists, would you say?
No, I'd say people that believe everything that they see on TV and are not able to make a qualified opinion themselves. So it all really boils down to race. He comes in with all of these crazy theories. All this is kind of feathered down, and the only thing that he seems to be saying is that he wants to get rid of all the Muslims and ban all the Muslims and
Mexicans.
And the Mexicans, and America seems to love this. And yet,
we've got to be careful there, because obviously a lot of America don't love it, but it does, from what we see in the UK, at least a good 30-40% of America, which is that's a majority population. They love it, they lap it up. Hillary Clinton is in this the same area as Donald Trump. She's got a lot of people voting for her purely because she's a woman, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think if America got a woman president, that would be brilliant, but Hillary Clinton is not the right person. If we get right down to it, she's racist.
Her and Donald Trump should get together and have a little racist baby
together.
They
are very similar. And a lot of people are so blinded just by the fact that she is a female, and they think that, like a lot of people, I imagine, voted for Barack Obama because he was black. And it was a change. It was something that's not happened. It was different. But the fact is that Barack Obama was a very good politician. He's not racist. He's not misogynistic. I think he's done a very good job of trying to support everybody and trying to help all groups of people.
I think what was quite good with him is he tried to bring America out of the Stone Age. I mean, they love their constitutions, and everything is very old. He tried to bring in, for example, the Obamacare, which is similar to the NHS that we have here over in the UK. And it's a fantastic scheme. Do you know what? Yes, it does cost taxpayer money, but ultimately, you're not being given lifelong crippling debt just because you've broken your leg messing around down a skate park.
Exactly.
It's a very good thing to have, and it's not that bad paying a little bit to help the whole country. And it's quite strange that there were so many mixed opinions about an NHS style system in America, and everyone thought, a lot of people thought it was a really bad idea and it was wrong and it shouldn't be done. But I think the only people that thought that were probably the same people that think tax havens are a good idea.
Yeah.
And
guns.
And guns, and they think, guns, don't get me started on guns. Oh, it's part of our constitution, we should be allowed to have guns. That's brilliant, but Should children be allowed to have guns? Should they be able to get them into schools? You know what? Guns are illegal in the UK, and we have next to no gun crime.
So what qualifies him to be president? He's got money and he's a racist, which obviously appeals to a lot. I'm not gonna be horrible and stereotype any areas of the country. He's got a lot of support in specific areas, very stereotypical areas that you would imagine he has support. But what qualifies him to be president is the fact that he's racist and he's got a lot of money, so he doesn't need corporate backers.
To believe that anyone would actually vote for him is absurd, because anyone with any intelligence would think, you know what, this guy is a joke. He has no potential of really making the country any better. He's just going to cause issues. There's going to be massive problems in the different minorities over there. And when you consider that, I think what's likely to happen is that Hillary Clinton seems to be very confident that she'll win the opportunity to go up against him. A lot of Americans are going to be stuck with a very difficult decision. Do they vote for being shot in the face or stabbed in the heart?
That is not a decision I would want to make between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. That is, I do not envy them for that one. What would a Donald Trump America look like? I mean, I've got two facts here that would 100% make me scared of a Donald Trump America. So the first one is that he wanted to separate the apprentice teams by race. Okay, he wanted to separate the apprentice teams by race. Now, that is as much as we know. We don't know what his actual idea was, but that to me says that he wanted either Christian versus Islam versus Hindu versus Buddhist. More than likely, he would have preferred Caucasian versus African American versus, Mexican, Puerto Rican, whoever the people would have been in it. That's a psychopath, or at the very least, a sociopath who wants to do that. And the second fact is that he called climate change a hoax and said that he would scrap the Paris Agreement. So the Paris Agreement, where all the major countries went over to Paris, went over to France, they had a meeting about what they could do to reduce their own individual impact on the environment. And all the countries signed this thing to agree to do everything they can to reduce their impact, on the environment. David Cameron signed it, said I think it's like 2 degrees that we're trying to keep it to, and then came straight back to the UK, scrapped subsidies to green initiatives, renewable energy, all those kind of things. So kind of went against what he was saying and what he agreed to, but there we go. And Donald Trump has said that he would completely scrap the agreement and that he doesn't believe in climate change. So this is the Donald Trump America that would be the situation. He would separate teams by race. I mean, that's only The Apprentice, but that's the only thing. If he had control over The Apprentice and he wanted to change that, if he had control over America, I can only assume the thought would probably run through his mind.
The thing is, all it seems to be is, America has made an awful lot of progress, and it seems like this is pretty much a step back in the direction where you're going to have black people sitting at the back of the bus again, and it's going to be.
It could be.
It's going to be a massive step back in time.
It sounds dramatic and it sounds crazy, but I know a lot of minorities are probably worried about that. You saw the video of the African American guy where he went to a Donald Trump rally and he went to a Bernie Sanders rally, and he wore a T-shirt that said "free hugs" and he went to offer hugs, and he was welcomed greatly at the Bernie Sanders rally. People hugged him, people spoke to him, people had conversations with him, and everyone was really nice. And he went to the Donald Trump rally and all he got was abuse. And if he got a hug, it was a very ironic hug followed up by a backhanded compliment. People were telling him to go back to the hood. People were. There's one woman who I don't know if you find the video on YouTube somewhere. She says
we'll link it in the description.
We'll pop a link, yeah, if you want that. She says black is good, and then she's holding his hand, and then she says white is better. And these people legitimately believe this. This is actually their belief, and it's scary. It's a scary time to be a minority in America if Donald Trump takes over. It's a scary time to be a Caucasian who wants equality. It's probably a scary time to be a female, to be a homosexual. Donald Trump is just not good news. Simple as that. We'll leave that one to you, America. We'll
Good luck with that one. Yeah,
have fun.
We'll keep an eye on it from across the pond.
Something that's happened to us this week. Have you got anything you wanted to share that you think's...
Turkey is not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. They're actually very friendly people. Ate so much Turkish Delight.
How different is Turkish Delight in Turkey to Turkish Delight down Tesco?
Now, you can get those little purple packets of Turkish Delight, and they are disgusting.
Nothing like that, is it?
It is nothing
There's
like it.
There's not even chocolate on it, is there?
No, it's just little sugary jelly kind of things.
With icing sugar on.
Yeah, and they are. It's so good. I mean, we went to Turkish market, and they've got loads of your genuine replica bags and all of that stuff. But they've got these little stores, and it's all homemade Turkish Delight from like local factories, and it's loads of different flavours. There's like 15, 20 different flavours of Turkish Delight, and I never really liked Turkish Delight because the only one I had been the one you get from the shop, and I thought it was disgusting, but it was really, really good.
So there's just a bit of a lesson for you that Turkey is actually okay to go on holiday to. I've been there myself. It's actually amazing. I stayed in Antalya. What did you say? Good.
We stayed in Fethiye. In the Dalaman region.
I'm sure the pronunciation of that is perfect.
What always gets me is when people clap when the plane lands.
What?
It really pisses me off.
What?
So annoying. Oh, people clap when the plane lands. And
I've never had that.
I think you do not get into a taxi on a night out. The guy delivers you outside some grotty nightclub and go, "Cheers, taxi driver," and clap. It makes me rage. Absolutely makes me rage. There's always that one idiot.
Were they British or were they?
Oh
Turkish?
Yeah, they were all British, and there's quite a few, and they clap when the plane hits the ground.
I've never had that.
I am just as happy that we have not died, but I do not feel the need to clap as they land. And I think you really.
What kind of person were they? Were they?
Oh, were
they old or were they young?
Yeah,
they were old.
You're looking at your middle class. Midlifers thinking, we've landed, it's amazing, yeah, brilliant, yeah, and
just excited to be away from the kids for a week.
Yeah,
that is an experience. I have never had that. Someone
it's
clapping when the pilot clapping when the pilot just does his job properly. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to be a pilot. Granted, they take off and they land, and you need a lot of studying. It's a lot of effort. But I've never heard of anyone clapping when a plane lands. It's like people that clap at the end of cinema, when they're in a cinema at the end of a film.
Oh, Star Wars, they did that. The new Star Wars film, they clapped at the end of that.
And when it started, they cheered, and I was like, shut up, I want to watch this. Don't clap.
If we're flying all around at 30,000 feet, and the engine cuts out, and all the windows blow...
You're going to start booing?
We're plummeting to the ground... And we barrel roll, we spin, all the luggage flies out the bottom, and he performs this magnificent loop de loop and brings us into land. Then I will clap.
But if the pilot crashes the plane and you're all sat there in your seats, water coming up around your ankles, do you start putting your thumbs down and start booing him?
Could do better.
Yeah,
see me.
C minus. You could have done better. I don't get that. That's a very strange one. I think it takes a certain type of person to do that, because that is very, very strange. Paranormal experiences. Robin, do you believe in ghosts?
I've got a good paranormal story, actually.
Okay, well, firstly, do you believe in ghosts? You do. Or you believe in a paranormal being? You believe in something other than what we see on this earth and this planet?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there's something there, but you need to be in a certain situation in order to be able to kind of communicate with it.
And you believe in this because you've had something happen to you?
A couple of years ago, I used to suffer from sleeping problems. I couldn't sleep properly.
Mm-hmm.
And after a little while, I developed something called sleep paralysis. Now, if you have it's the kind of thing that until you experience it, you would never believe is actually true.
Do you want to just describe what it actually is?
So, sleep paralysis is a little breakdown of what happens when you go to sleep. So when you go to sleep, there's a couple of different stages of sleeping. You've got your Your light sleep, which is when you're told to go for a nap. You shouldn't nap for more than 20 minutes because that's your kind of light sleep area. After that period, you go into something called REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. And that's when you dream. So that's your dream state, and that's your deep sleep.
So after 20 minutes of being...
Between 20 and 40 minutes is when you go into your deep sleep.
Okay.
Now, what happens in this deep sleep and when your dreams start is your brain releases a chemical that causes your entire body to be paralysed, so that you don't act out your dreams. And people that sleepwalk don't release this chemical. So when they sleepwalk, they're dreaming, moving around, and their body is enacting it, but they don't realise it because they're unconscious. So your body releases this chemical to stop you from flailing around and things like that in your sleep.
Right.
And what happens with sleep paralysis is that your mind wakes up, but your body is still asleep.
And are you still dreaming?
It's a bit of a mid-run. And when we said about ghosts, I feel that this is the opportunity when you can kind of do it, because I had an experience before, and it was absolutely terrifying when the first time that it happened to me. I woke up and I was led on my bed, and you feel like you wake up, you're completely alert. It's not as if you're dreaming, because when you dream, you dream dreams, and then when you wake up the next day, it's very difficult to remember them. You feel like you're awake. Your eyes are open, you can see your room, and you think, I've woken up, and then you try to move and you can't.
Right.
And you realise that you're glued to the bed, but you can look around. So your eyes are open, and you can look around the room.
You move your eyes.
You can move your eyes, and you can see, but you can't move your body.
Okay.
And you feel completely helpless, and you can't. The first thing I did was I tried to scream out for help, and I was trying to scream, and I was screaming, but there was no noise coming out. I wasn't making any noise.
And that's because this chemical wouldn't let your body do that?
Yeah, because I was screaming in my head.
Do you know what this chemical is?
No idea.
Okay.
But I was screaming in my head, and you're trying really hard, and you're struggling to move, and you just feel like your body doesn't work. It only lasts for a little while, and you might have heard something called lucid dreaming, which is where you're able to control your dreams. Now, at the moment, when a normal person sleeps, your dreams run through as they do, and you don't really have any conscious control over what happens in your dreams, which is why when you have nightmares and good dreams, bad dreams, it all changes, and you don't really have much control over it. With sleep paralysis, you enter a kind of lucid dream state where, because your mind is partially awake, your dreams can then come into the real world. I was led on my bed, and I was looking across the room, and I could see a tall, shadowy figure in the corner of my eye, and I couldn't quite see it, but I could feel it there, and I could feel it coming closer and closer to me.
A shadow?
A thing, a being, was walking towards me, and I was feeling cold, and I was panicking.
So how does this relate back to to paranormal?
From the aspect of the creature, so quite often with it, your dreams will come into your reality.
Okay.
So you will see visions and things like that. You will see apparitions, and things will appear, creatures will appear. I've had one where this shadowy figure was walking over to me saying, "You're mine," and it's very, very scary. It seems like something out of a horror film.
Well, it seems like it's real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because it's very real. You're not dreaming that you're in some haunted castle or anything like that. You're in your room.
Yeah.
And you know that you're awake, and that's the scary thing about it, because you know that it can't be a dream because you're awake. And you don't wake up afterwards and think, oh, it's okay, it was only a dream, because you feel it. You get kind of out of body experiences from it. It's very scary. There's different ways that you can induce it, but it's very difficult. Normally it's from a lack of sleep causes it, but
so you believe these beings in this sleep paralysis state aren't just your mind? Do you believe that when you're in this state, you are able to see?
Yeah, so I think that what happens is you then kind of move into the spirit world, or whatever it is. I used to think it's crazy. I used to think it's bullshit.
How long did you suffer from sleep paralysis?
Probably for about a year.
Right. And how many times in that year did it happen?
It would
Could
happen
you count, or?
At least once or twice a week.
Gosh.
Sometimes 3 or 4 times in a night. The ghosts are, what happens when you die. Your soul kind of comes out your body or whatever, and you kind of roam around.
Do you hear stories about sleep paralysis, and it sounds like your worst nightmare, but just so much more realistic, and because it's happening in the real world around you, it's happening in your actual surroundings. People, I wasn't sure what you were going to say, and I didn't want to interrupt with this, but people have previously, linked not just sleep paralysis, but things like narcolepsy and a thing called obstructive sleep apnea with the paranormal and with what's called an incubus. Now, obviously, this depends on how much of the paranormal you believe in. I've got a little bit of a belief. I've got a little bit of an idea that there might be something. So it just depends on how you look at it and what you believe. But an incubus and a succubus. The incubus, I believe, is the male. The succubus is the female. Someone's going to correct me if I'm wrong there. It might be the other way around. But the female comes to you in your sleep, forces you to inseminate her. And then it's said that tries to have your child. And people who are diagnosed with this sleep paralysis, a lot of people have exactly the same vision of this woman, this demon, this paranormal spirit coming down, and when you're stuck in this situation where you cannot move, has uninvited sex with you.
Rape you.
I didn't want to say that word, but she rapes you. Yeah, that's what she does, and she forces you to inseminate her, and then she tries to have your child. And it's the other one, the male, the very same situation.
And then the kind of the throwbacks of being pulled into that world from them doing that to you. That's when you get the repetition from the narcolepsy and things like that. That's kind of a side effect of it.
And that's going to have such an impact, a detrimental effect on your day-to-day life, because you're not going to want to go to sleep, and then you get caught in this lack of sleep, and that's what can then cause paralysis. So that is our paranormal experience. I think we'll leave that one there. We might come back to that because I think it's a very good subject. I think maybe we can get a lot of different people's opinions on it, because there are a lot of different opinions. There's a lot of different beliefs and a lot of different situations in which people have been in that we can touch on. So we may well come back to that one, but we'll leave that there. So the most pathetic thing anybody's ever said to you that has turned you off of them. So you've been talking to someone, getting to know them romantically or non-romantically, you just wanted a one-off, whatever, and they've done something and you know it's pathetic, you know it's not really anything, it's not really a reason to stop talking to them, but it means a lot to you, and you've stopped.
I don't have any of these.
Not at all. You don't have anything you've ever done that you can look back on and think, maybe I was a bit harsh on her, but you know what, I stand by it.
No, I had to sleep with many to find the right one.
Great.
That's what my gran said to do anyway.
So, your gran told you to sleep with loads of women until you find the correct one.
That was the most awkward conversation that I've ever had with her. My gran is lovely. She's like 86 years old. She lives in Wales. She's very old school. And I was chatting to her on the phone, and I was telling her about how I'd split up with my girlfriend a couple of years ago, and it was annoying, and I was trying to get over it. And she turned around to me and she said, "Well, you've got to try a lot of them out before you find the one you like." They're like sweets. They're like a tin of celebrations with a blindfold. You've got to try them all until you find one you like. And then she turned around to me and she said, "When I was your age, I was doing it just as much."
And how old is she?
She's 86.
So when did she tell you this? A couple of years ago?
Yeah. So she's
an
an 80-plus-year-old granny,
lovely old lady,
telling me about how she used to have sex on weekends with random blokes she met in the pub.
Just till she found the correct one. That's an image you want. I am gonna struggle to sleep tonight. So I've got quite a good story. I was probably about 3 years ago now, talking to this girl who is sort of an alternative girl. I think she had kind of pale pink hair in her photo. She's wearing a Blink-182 t-shirt. We were just talking about general things, what we're into, interests, and we're talking about music. We both seem to be very interested in music. And I said, "So Blink-182, your favourite band?" Blink-182, they are described as a pop-punk band, okay? You've got the genre of punk. They're not particularly thrashy or aggressive. Anyway, she says to me, Blink-182 are her favourite band. She says, "Who are yours?" And I said to her that a band called Pulled Apart by Horses are my favourite band. And so she hadn't heard of them. And so I said, well, I sent her a link to my favourite song by them. Okay, and I said, have a quick listen to this.
Opinion? a bit weird, isn't it? I've got quite a broad music appreciation.
Good.
Um,
This is going a good direction.
the music sounds good, but I've never been a fan of the screamy music.
Well, okay, so in terms of
So if
screamy
you
music,
if you was to take the screamy bits out of it, I think it was quite a good song.
Okay, I mean, in terms of what you're calling screamy music, this is quite tame, I would say. Yeah,
but it's not really.
but you're calling it screamy music. Would you, as someone who isn't into this kind of music, would you class this as kind of heavier rock? You know, kind of closer to like.
Yeah, I mean, rock as I see it is kind of like your classical rock, like your
Led Zeppelin.
your Led Zeppelin, your Guns N' Roses, things like that.
So you would put this kind of near a heavy metal, would you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I would fully agree with you there. They're quite a heavy band by any means. They're nowhere near being the heaviest band, but they are. They as you said, they perhaps do scream, and they are perhaps quite heavy. I Punched a Lion in the Throat is a very aggressive song, but one of my favourites. Now, having just heard that, okay, prepare yourself for this. I sent her a link to that song, and she said to me, she put, they're good, but they're a bit too poppy for me. Blocked, deleted, done. I do not need that kind of fucking negativity in my life. I have no issue with someone who likes Blink-182.
But then says that's too poppy.
But it says that's too poppy, and I haven't got time for people like that. I didn't speak to her again. So that was 3 guys who know nothing discuss everything. Obviously, this is the first one. It was just 2, so it's not started very well. But we hope you liked it. We'll be doing 1 a month. We'll try and keep it as short and sweet as possible. We know you don't want to listen to me drone all day. You serious shit don't want to listen to Rob. Do subscribe. We're going to be putting this on obviously all media platforms, so do whatever they want you to do to keep in touch with what we are doing. Like the Facebook page. We're presented by Feel Good, so check those out as well. And I hope you have a brilliant month.